Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia and today I just wanted to invite you along while I craft. I am working on some journals and you can see here, this is one of the journals that I'm working on, and I have kind of like half done things and just some different elements that I want to include in there or create with, and I don't currently have a sewing machine, so I'm just waiting to be able to finish off a lot of these pieces that way. But I just thought that maybe you would enjoy seeing some of my process with what I create today. So I'm just sharing with you a little bit of what I've gathered here for this particular journal. And kind of putting aside like what I think I can use or get inspired with, and now this is what I decided to work on first, and it ended up taking a while, so this is all we're going to be creating together, but I hope you do enjoy it. I grabbed a envelope that was already made. It's part of a Happy Mail that I received like almost a year ago, and I started taking apart the folder that was created and using the elements in the folder to create new things, to repurpose them. So this envelope here, I'm just planning on recovering it with this really pretty printable from Ruby Embellishing. You could use like a different, either a different print, or you can also use like a magazine cutting or a really pretty scrapbook paper. Whenever, I just want to like say this, I know I've said it before, but whenever you see creators create with something specific, so I really like to use printables, but I know some people don't, and just keep in mind that even if a project is using either printables or something else, you can use whatever elements that you prefer using and just apply the concept behind that. So I'm just going to use some tacky glue, and I'm going to cover the whole envelope with it, and then just glue down the envelope onto the print. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to press everything down really nicely. I kind of removed some of my pressing because it's not very interesting, but I'm just trying to be careful and not put glue everywhere. I hope you guys are all doing really well. Things are good here. It's been so nice to finally have a desk where I can craft again. I'm super excited to share what it looks like with you, and I do have a little picture on Instagram that I posted, but the full thing is going to be coming eventually once I'm a little bit more organized. Right now there's just a ton of boxes under the desk, so it's not very appealing or interesting to show. And here I'm just cutting the excess at the flap, and I'm just gonna ink around the whole thing just to make sure that everything kind of blends together really nicely. So I'm leaving some of the original envelope showing because I just think it looks nice and it works well with the print that I've selected, but you could definitely cover the whole thing up. that that's inked, I'm ready to use another piece of that same print. I just want to add another element just to kind of make it a little bit more interesting and add texture to the back of the letter or front. I'm never sure which is the back or the front of an envelope, but I think it's the back. It's where it opens. Anyway, so I'm just trimming that off at a bit of a smaller size. And I do want to layer it onto something. So I grabbed this little, well, it's not little, but this piece of paper. It's a vintage piece of paper, and I do like the writing on there. So I'm just gonna be layering it onto there. I really like the color of it, so I just thought that it would add just a little something extra to it. And I'm just using my ruler to kind of trim everything. Oh, now that I remember, actually, I didn't use that paper. I'm just auditioning this doily. I do like it, but not quite. And then I had a piece of this envelope here, and I just felt like the color was really nice, so I ended up using that. I think I used the other paper for something else after. Oh, sorry. And so I'm just going to be gluing that on there. I am going to be inking that piece of paper before I do that, and just like kind of aging it by kind of folding it a little bit. And I really like to fold the corners because that, to me, like would be something that gets like most worn is the corners. So I like to kind of roll them up and fold them a little bit and press on them and just playing around with it to age them nicely before I continue to ink them up. So when I'm going to be applying some glue to here, I'm just making sure that I don't put glue like all the way to the corners. I do want those corners to kind of lift up and show their age, well, their fake age. That's just like a part of kind of the look that I'm going for. And so I'm gently pressing, but making sure that I don't carry that glue all the way into each of the corners. I quite like what that looks like, but now the front looks a little bit bare. I really like that image of the flower, but it just feels like there should be a little something extra. So I grabbed some fabrics that I have and trims, and I'm just going to play around a little bit. I want to add just an element of texture. I didn't know at this point if it would be a closure or something else. But ultimately, I decide to use two pieces of fabric. So I use a piece of this lace that I'm playing around with now, and a little piece of a bit of a peachy kind of fabric. And I'm just gonna layer them up and use a brag clip to attach them to the envelope. So here is the piece of fabric that I'm going to be using. So I try to close the envelope first, but it's not quite long enough, so it doesn't, I don't know, it just like didn't look right. So I decided not to go ahead with that. I mean, if the fabric was longer and I could do a bow, I think it would have been like really pretty, but that wasn't the case, and that just kind of looked a little bit messy. So I go ahead and I trim off a piece of this fabric. I'm just gonna rip it, and I'm just gonna play around for a little bit, trying to fold it in a way that I think looks really pretty. That can take a little while sometimes, like some fabrics are a little bit harder to play around with, but I just really like the effect of that. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm not sure how much lace I want to use, so I didn't cut it right then and there. But here I'm just looking for a brad clip, and I don't remember where I put them. That's what happens when you have a new setup. You don't know where anything is, and you're just trying to get used to your new place. So this is something that I kind of came up with as I was playing around with it. I was trying to think, oh, like, how am I gonna keep this in place? And I really loved the way that it ended up being folded, so I didn't want to lose that. And so I ended up just using my owl, and I kind of stuck it through it because I knew I was going to be making a hole anyway, because my brad clip was not going to be able to go through that just like by pushing it through. That wasn't, I mean, it could have worked, but I probably would have lost the way that I folded it. So now it's just on there, and I can play around with it and decide where I want it to be placed on the envelope. And so the last piece that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a little piece of that lace and then add it in front of that peachy colored fabric. And I put the brad clip in the middle of the flower, not even thinking, and I end up like just like loving the way that that looked. I had never thought about that, which seems like, now thinking about it, I think that's silly, but I just didn't think about it before, and it just turns out like it looks like the center of the flower, so it's very cute. So I just poked through my brad clip. I removed that footage because they had to be right up next to my eyes, so you end up not seeing anything that I'm doing. But I'm just using my little pokey tool here to kind of spread out the legs of the brad clip, and then using my finger to push it down. And I'm gonna add a little piece of washi tape in behind just to make sure that nothing would catch onto those little legs. But look at this. I was so pleased with how that looked. So now I feel like I can add a closure. I have these little ribbons. I have a ton of them. They were gifted to me, and I'm just trying to find like many ways to use them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use one for the closure. I am gonna be adding a wax seal to it, and I wanted to be able to like remove the ribbon as well as the wax seal so that the person can use it. Now this was the first time that I was trying that out, and like looking, you know, after the fact of doing it, I realized there would have been a much easier way to do it. I think like doing it on waxed paper is the best for removing a wax seal and being able to just like use it anywhere. But I wish I would have just done it on a piece of cardboard or like a piece of paper that I thought was pretty, like some music paper would be really nice, and then just rip out kind of around the wax seal so that you see a little bit of music paper poking in behind. But I didn't think of that at that point. So, you know, you try new things and then you improve from that, right? So here I have my candle, I have this little cap, and I thought that it wouldn't stick to it, but it was very difficult to remove the seal from it, so I'm not going to be doing that again. But that's all I could find around me. I didn't know where the wax paper was or anything. So it wasn't perfect. So right here I'm just trying to figure out which color of wax I'm going to be using, and I settled for some white just to keep it very clean and simple. I'm just trying to incorporate more wax into my crafts. As you can see, I have like a whole little like bowl of wax, and I barely ever use it because I just don't think about it. So now I have them right on my desk so that I can remember to use them more. And my idea is to actually pour out the wax onto the ribbons so that it's just like stuck onto the ribbons from the start. And just pouring that wax onto here before I place my my seal onto it. And then I removed the footage of me trying to remove it from there. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I spent so much time, but it worked out in the end. So there's ways that I know I want to improve it, but you know, it all worked out. So here you see it, and then I'm just gonna fill the envelope with some things. I think I could fill it a little bit more, given that the ribbon does allow a little bit extra space. And then I'm just gonna close it up. But that's pretty much all that I do in this this video here. Oh, I'm just backing the wax seal here just so that it's a little sturdier. But I really hope that you enjoyed seeing me craft, that I was able to keep you company, or that it inspire you to alternate a little bit of some Happy Meal that you might have gotten. You know, I find sometimes like when I get the pieces, I know what to do with the pieces, but then it comes in these beautiful folders or things that people have used, and I'm just trying to find different ways to incorporate those either in my journal or to repurpose them into something else so that nothing really goes to waste. I wish you all a really wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll talk to you all really soon. Bye now.